The first rule of being a good running mate is don't trip up the person you're running with. Whatever you do, don't put your foot in his way and never put it in your own mouth.
I guess there seems to be some trouble brewing between the Sarah Palin and John McCain, the two campaigns. McCain aides say that Sarah Palin is going rogue and not taking advice or notes from the McCain campaign. Have you heard this story? They say it's hard to keep her from going off script and making statements that hurt the campaign. It's gotten so bad, her Secret Service code name now, Joe Biden.
Okay, funny, yes. Perhaps a little out of date. Reporters covering Biden say that the famously chatty senator hasn't been nearly so breezy for weeks now, which raises the question, is the old free-range campaigner being cooped up to keep him from laying an embarrassing egg or two? Jessica Yellen has been talking to her sources about this. Jessica, he's certainly lived up to his reputation as you know, a gaffe-prone candidate, and gave Team McCain some much-needed ammo with some of the off-the-cuff remarks from Biden. But has the Obama campaign really put a muzzle on him, as we've been hearing?
Yeah, Campbell, in fact, before Barack Obama spoke, Joe Biden gave an incredibly tight, fully scripted speech. No ad-libbing, none of the freelancing we're used to hearing from Joe Biden. And that is what we're seeing from him day after day on the stump. None of the typical Joe Biden freelancing we're used to. Ever since, in fact, he made that gaffe at a fundraiser a week and a half ago when he suggested that as president, Barack Obama would be tested by an international crisis. He hasn't attended another fundraiser. He has not been talking to national press. And as I say, he is sticking to the talking points with a teleprompter at every speech. Now, when I talk to Obama's top advisors, they say to me, look, we knew what we were getting with Joe Biden. We knew that he was prone to gaffes, and sure enough, he is what we expected. But they said they'd take the bad with the good because they think his good far outweighs that problem. But the bottom line is, in these final days, the Obama campaign, they're polling ahead. They just don't want to mess up. And if you got to plug a hole, one place to start is with Joe Biden. So they are making him stick to the talking points, and that's what he's doing. Campbell?
Jessica Yellen at the very rowdy, very loud Obama rally tonight. Jessica, thanks. We're going to bring in our political panel now to talk about a strategy for both VP candidates now here in the home stretch. New York Daily News columnist Errol Louis, who's also morning host for WWRL Radio in New York, CNN senior political analyst here with me in New York for a change, Gloria Borger, and back again our chief national correspondent John King with us as well. And Gloria, let me start with you here. You heard what Jessica was saying, keeping him on a short leash now. Let me read you what Dana Milbank from the Washington Post wrote in his column today. The muzzling of Biden seems unnatural and inhumane, like taking a proud lion into captivity. Even Palin is taking questions from reporters on her campaign plane, but the wordiest man in Washington has to make his remarks short, sweet, and canned. Was this inevitable that we would reach this moment?
Yeah, it's like they've shot him with a tranquilizer dart just to kind of calm him down, the proud lion, because it became inevitable when he started giving the McCain campaign fodder for all of their ads, you know, saying that a terrorist attack was, or a test was inevitable because if Obama were elected. So, yeah, they had to quiet him down. And, you know, every time you talk to people in the Obama campaign in person, they roll their eyes and they say, we love Joe. So I bet that Barack Obama himself has had to say something to Joe Biden about cooling him.
Errol, is there a double standard here a bit? Because, you know, for weeks we've been beating up the McCain campaign for not letting Sarah Palin be Sarah Palin, and now we're seeing the Obama folks essentially do the same thing with Joe Biden.
Well, believe me, I think if they could get away with it on the Republican side, they would lock her up just as tightly and script her just as tightly. The reality is they have a bigger burden to carry. They have to do more. They need press, frankly. I mean, it's not as if Joe Biden needs to go out and do a lot of extemporaneous talking to the press because they need the attention. They've got so much money. They've bought so much advertising. They don't need any of that. What they need him to do is to stay on script, and the surest way to do that is to not let him open his mouth unless there's a teleprompter in the room.
John, do you think double standard in the coverage of these two vice presidential candidates?
Well, certainly Sarah Palin has received more scrutiny than Joe Biden has. Now, is that a double standard, or is it a fact that one is having an impact on the race and one isn't? And by that I mean, if you look in the polling data or if you travel Campbell anecdotally, you don't find voters who say they're not going to vote for Barack Obama because of Joe Biden. In fact, independents will tell you they think Joe Biden helps because he's serious and has that foreign policy experience. You do find, the plus side of Sarah Palin. Without a doubt, she has intensified the Republican base. She is a factor in helping McCain there. But in those same places, the suburbs and among independents, you you find compelling evidence, anecdotally and in all the polling data, that she's hurting John McCain, that people think that is a reflection of his bad judgment because those specific voters, independents and suburban, more affluent suburban voters, don't think she's qualified to be president. So if she's getting more coverage, I would hope it's in part because she is actually influencing the race more than Joe Biden is, both pro and con.
And the Obama campaign is very happy about Biden's performance in that vice presidential debate. They know that he pulled back. There were lots of times he could have gone after Sarah Palin. They told him not to do it, and he listened to them during that debate, and that was really important for them because it helped their campaign and it hurt the McCain campaign.
Let me go back to the Palin question, though, and ask you this, John, because there's been a lot of talk about this over the last couple of days, especially that she has certainly been criticized in terms of her seriousness or her image as a serious candidate out on the trail. And there's been a lot of attention given to the idea of her trying to change her image right now and focusing on that, frankly, rather than the campaign and John McCain.
Well, she's trying to fix her image. She gave an interview to ABC today, which she says she still thinks they can pull this out, and that's where her focus is. She's going to be talked about in the 2012 scenario, Campbell, no matter what, if McCain loses, and even before that in the final days of the campaign. But she's giving a policy speech for the very conversation we were just having, in that if you look at where she is affecting the ticket, the Republican ticket, in an adverse way, independents, especially Hillary Clinton supporters among soft Democrats, don't think she's qualified to be president, don't think she's up to the test. So she's out giving policy speeches now on energy, another one to come in the final days, to try to convince people, look again, I am ready and I'm getting better as we go on. But without a doubt, at the same time, we know she's frustrated that she thought her rollout went miserably bad. And some of it is her fault. She concedes internally, but she's also blaming a lot of the McCain aides, thinking they didn't handle it right.
Could she be, Errol, the standard bearer of the Republican Party going forward? Some conservatives, some prominent conservatives, are trying to push her in that direction.
Well, certainly, and certainly she thinks of herself as having a future in national politics, whether it's as vice president or as a potential presidential candidate. But I think John is right. I mean, listen, what she wants and what the ticket needs actually happen to coincide in this case. Those persuadables, that shrinking pool of independent, persuadable voters out there who want to see somebody who's got some policy chops, who's got a good head on her shoulders. What she's doing, I think, could appeal to some of them.
But Dan Quayle, remember, he won, and he had a rough time.
Right.
And he tried to run for president, didn't work out so well for him.
John King, you get the last word.
One quick correction I want to make before we go, Campbell.
Yeah.
When I showed you the map earlier, we had the map graphic out of the state of Missouri, had Obama at 50, McCain at 48. Still a statistical tie, but the numbers have flipped. It's McCain at 50, Obama at 48. So a slight McCain edge in Missouri, not a slight Obama edge, still within statistical margin of error.
And you just saved yourself from a lot of angry email about that, John King. Thanks for that correction to John, to Gloria, and to Errol. Appreciate it, guys. In a minute, we're going to take you to Florida for Barack Obama's big rally, which will be included in his infomercial. Is he going to score any points here? Is it worth the millions of dollars he's spending? We've got the best political team on television to sort through it. We want to take you to Florida right now. This is live. Barack Obama on stage in Sunrise. That's near Fort Lauderdale, part of the campaign infomercial. Let's listen for a moment.
To achieve their American dream. And Florida and America, in this last week, if you will knock on some doors for me, if you'll make some calls for me, if you'll go to BarackObama.com and find out where to vote, if you'll stand with me and fight by my side and cast your ballot for me, then I promise you, we will not just win Florida, we will win this election, and together we will change this country and change the world. Thank you. God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America.
Barack Obama down in Florida. You're watching the end there of this infomercial that aired on a number of television networks tonight that the Obama campaign paid millions of dollars for. We're going to have more on that later in the show. Coming up, tonight's no bias, no bull test for Sarah Palin. Was she telling the whole truth when she said Barack Obama was tied to a PLO supporter? And later, the state senator allegedly found a novel way to take a bribe. What on earth is she doing? Why she is our pick for the bullseye tonight.